In this video, we're going to talk about the Banana Splits. Most of you, I would think, know that are especially ones that are FNAF fans will probably have seen the horror film, The Banana Splits. But originally, they were not scary characters ever at all. In fact, when I saw the movie for the first time, I actually laughed, thinking, how could they take these cute little things and turn them into something so weird and scary? I know that the script they used for the movie was supposed to be for the FNAF movie that they tried to get out, but they decided to choose these characters for some reason instead and make the movie that way. But for those who didn't know the origins or the reality of the real Banana Splits, they were before my time. It was a Saturday morning kids show for real that was on, I think, only a couple years back in the late 60s, early 70s. They were also the mascots of the Kings Island amusement park in near Cincinnati, Ohio. This is a video of something that was shot there back in 72, 50 years ago, if you can believe it. Yeah, 50 years seems like a long time ago. And of course, this again was before I was born. But I have been to Kings Island a couple times, and the park was very much like this. Actually, I had my picture taken there right in front of that clock behind where they were driving there. I'll have to find that picture for you. But I did go there in 1985 and 1991, and the park looked very much like it does in this video when I went in 1985, when I was a little girl. But as you see, the Banana Splits were just these sort of almost like, I don't know, the old-time funny comedian things, but dressed in costumes. For those who maybe are older than me, of course, you'll probably remember watching it as a kid. You would probably be 50 and up by now, probably. There's the Red Racer at Kings Island. Now, for those that also remember, that was made famous also in TV shows like The Brady Bunch and The Partridge Family, which were on just about the same year. In fact, Kings Island had just opened up. It was a brand new park right that year in 72. My aunts and uncles and parents actually had gone there before I was born. And it was kind of mimicked Disney a little bit. It had this big Eiffel Tower, as you see. In the back, you will see it in these other videos I'm going to show you. And then they had these little bands that would come out and play. It was a really fun theme park. It's still there today. A lot of people, they may know about it, not know about it. It doesn't get as much attention as it used to be. It was a fun park. It's mostly just roller coasters now, of course, like any other park now, but it still has, to my knowledge, the fountains there and the Eiffel Tower replica. But anyway, these, I don't know if Kings Island still uses these guys as mascots, but they did. They were part of the Hanna-Barbera characters, which, of course, are responsible for, as you would know, Scooby-Doo and the Smurfs nowadays. Hanna-Barbera had hundreds of different characters that were very popular back in the late 60s, 70s, 80s, even up through the early 90s. Of course, I call them the classic original characters is what I'm talking about. Nothing that they've done recently when they've remodernized them or these stupid remake movies that they keep making, which are not as good as the originals. So, but anyway, I did kind of miss this growing up, obviously. I did hear about them. I never saw the show, but I knew they were just some cute thing. Of course, when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, I didn't even know their names, but I ended up liking Snorky, the elephant there, just like the little boy did in the film. But to show you some old footage of them, they weren't scary things for real, of course. Now I'm going to go to a different video now. In this video, this one showcases when the Brady Bunch and the Partridge Family shot TV show episodes at the park. Again, these were shot between 72, I'm guessing, and probably 74 maybe, when the park was still brand new. This looks very much like it did when I was a kid. When I went, a lot of the same, you can see Yogi Bear there, a lot of the landscape and designs were still pretty much the same even when I went in '85. So this is going to be a little bit more about Kings Island than memories. Then here you see Alice running. Now, as a kid growing up, I watched the Brady Bunch a lot. Partridge Family not as much because they didn't rerun those shows as often, but I have seen them now. And watching this is like watching a home movie, which I wish we would have had footage of me as a kid going to the park, because a lot of these rides were there when I went as a kid. They were still there, even in '85. And of course, 1991 was the last time I was actually there at Kings Island. I have not been back since then. So I was about 11 years old the last time I was at the park. We didn't stay there. We just, since I lived in Indiana, we only had about a 3-hour drive down there close to Cincinnati to drive there for the day and spend the day. Kings Island had kind of this Swiss European look inside, with restaurants and gift shops and other things, and of course a ton of rides. Now, some of the rides I've noticed in these episodes were gone when I was there, and a lot of them were there and were still there up through probably only 10 or 20 years ago. I don't think there's anything there original anymore that I know of, except for the roller coaster, and I would say probably that Eiffel Tower again. That's probably about it. The rest of it's pretty much all gone. But, going up the Eiffel Tower, yes, I remember the doors were red, and this is the same exact only elevator there was to get off to go at the top. So I remember my parents and I coming off this elevator. It wasn't that packed as we came off of it. And I had no fear of heights at the time. I would now. I would have a hard time, like David is here, getting off. But then when you're a kid, for some reason, nothing scares you. And that's what it looked like when I was a kid. It was very simple, very clean. There wasn't as many roller coasters. But it was a very fun park. When I went the first time, I didn't go on any roller coasters. I was too young. At that time, they had maybe very little kiddie roller coasters. It was all just the kid rides. And eating and shows. And here's Monster. Now, we called this the Octopus. This is the exact ride I rode as a kid with my dad. We went on this one. We called it the Octopus. I think it was still there in '91, and Dad and I rode it again. And I recognized it when I saw the show. I thought, I remember going on that. It was very fun. I could not ride this now. I would probably get vertigo. The slides I do remember going on. They were in a different place in the park than they were shown in this show, but I do remember going on them. I think it was the first time I rode slide. They used like a potato sack or whatever there to hold on to. You don't see things like this much anymore, especially a very big slide like that. And then I had the same problem as she had trying to slide down. Of course, we always loved the carousels. You always got to go on one of those. And throughout the park, they would have Hanna-Barbera shows, and the Banana Splits would walk around and shake your hand. And I don't know if I actually did see them. My mother did not take any pictures, or didn't take very many pictures. I will have to probably try to make a separate video and get those out and try to show you sometime, if anybody would like to see them. But Mom didn't film and didn't take a lot of pictures, but there were some. But I don't remember seeing the characters. I might have seen them, but not enough to remember. Now, this ride was a very famous ride there at Kings Island. This was the old mill log flume ride. This was, of course, made popular by these shows, so every time anyone went to the park, of course, they wanted to go on these because they were on the TV show. So, yes, I went on this both times with my parents, and it was so much fun. I think they have since gotten rid of the ride, but it had been there for years and years and years afterwards, and it still looked like this. They had never changed it, and it was very much fun to ride. You didn't get too wet or anything, and that was what was nice about the ride. But at least I can say I did ride this ride. Ah, the famous Red Racer roller coaster. Now, this was the very first roller coaster I ever got to go on as a kid. When I went in 91, I sat in the same spot as Jan there, and Dad sat where Bobby is, and that was my view. And I remember going down that hill, and I had a retainer in my mouth, and it almost rattled out of my mouth. um, I was wearing it because I had just gotten, it was, actually that was before my braces. But anyway, I just remember it was the first adult real roller coaster I ever went on, and it was so much fun. And it's still there today. They had a blue one that was next to you, and both of them would race each other. And at the time we went, they had changed it to where one of them would go backwards and one would go forward. But at this time, they didn't do that. They both went forward. But yes, I did get to ride that roller coaster. That was a lot of fun. It was very, very rickety, though, too. You felt like you were going to rattle out off of it more than it's showing here. Now, these are always called the old antique cars, or the, and those are always a kid's first drive. First time you ever pretend to be driving.
Get up on your feet now and feel this new sensation. Here's a new dance that's in your town. It's sweeping across the nation. But first we need a big strong land. Let's slide and feel it. And now we're gonna stop to do it. Hey, yeah, yeah. We're doing it and doing it and doing it. Woo! Doing the Banana Spilts.
And yes, the theme song really was their theme song.
Two banana, three banana, four. Four bananas make a bunch and so do many more. Over hill and highway the banana buggies go. Coming home to bring you the Banana Spilts show. Making up a mess of